Good morning, folks. This is the PT on Ice Daily Show brought to you by the Institute of Clinical Excellence. It's the Wednesday version, so the Jerry on Ice version, where myself, Dustin Jones, or Christina Previtt are going to talk about all things older adults. We are co-lead faculty in the older adult division, and we teach modern management of the older adult. I am in the mobile home health PT office right now, pulled onto the side of the road. I'm not driving for those watching the video, so don't accuse me of such things. So I wanted to talk about opportunities with evaluations, but opportunities with reassessments. That I really want to emphasize some things that I think are very influential in how our courses of care kind of pan out, and hopefully, influence outcomes in a positive manner. But if we go through these reassessments in a very careless, lackluster manner, I think we're leaving a lot on the table. So this stems partly from this past weekend, where Christine and I were in Camarillo, California, teaching modern management of the older adult at George Erb Physical Therapy. Shout out to Kyle Kimbrell and that whole crew. Awesome group of clinicians, and we really enjoy going through that weekend, doing the different exercise labs and talking about frailty and clinical geriatric syndromes and special psychosocial considerations and exercise prescription, all that fun stuff. But one lecture in particular that I really geek out about is the process, or the evaluation, when we take that, when we consider the person that we're working with, that the older adult, and all the complexities that come with someone that has been on this planet for 7-8 decades, if you are, for a lot of my folks that I'm treating. And so there's some things that we need to consider, and we talk about that in the course. So that's been on my mind, but also as a home health clinician, I am being transitioned more into just an evaluator type role. So I really love treating. I love working with people consistently over a long period of time, progressing their exercise programs, and really helping them achieve their goals. I like to be kind of the boots on the ground, working with these people several times a week. But now the pressures that be are transitioning the physical therapist more into just doing start of cares, physical therapy evaluations, reassessments, and discharges. So I'm not getting to treat as much as I used to, or as much as I'd like. And I'm not going to complain too much about that, but there are some particular skill sets in that evaluation or reassessing role that I think are very important, that I do want to mention. There are opportunities for us to really influence our patients and the outcomes, but we don't want to be lazy about it. So the first thing that I really want to bring light to is the issue of many of us, when we go to reassess, some of us may be going in blind. There are certain clinics and settings where another evaluating clinician may have seen this person, and then another PTA may have continued that treatment, and then a different physical therapist is coming back to do the reassessment. This can be common in the home health setting. I know in skilled nursing facilities, definitely, sometimes in outpatient. And this presents an issue. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing, but sometimes with scheduling, that's the only way we can go about kind of meeting those, the 30-day period or whatnot, or just being able to do that reassessment within the rules that are placed on us. That's a very challenging situation. I've found myself in that situation as of late. And there's something that we need to do first and foremost, is to really acknowledge the credibility and the skill of the other clinician, and really speak highly of them. So often I've heard other clinicians kind of tear down the other clinician, or completely change the plan of care and what they've been doing immediately off the get-go, even though that may be the first time that clinician is saying anything, or even to the extent of adjusting something like an assistive device when that clinician may have not have been aware of that prior to, because you're the new guy, you got the fresh eyes, and you're going in trying to make all kinds of changes and adjustments, or even criticizing the previous clinician. I think that is a terrible thing to do. You are shooting yourself in the foot. You are probably going to eliminate any therapeutic alliance that patient had with that treating therapist. And I view that as rather disrespectful to the clinician that is in that patient's home day in, day out, or treating that patient. So that situation right there, which can be very common, where we come in with those fresh eyes and may disagree with how someone has been doing something, or how they have the assistive device set up or whatnot, let's be very thoughtful of how we present that to our patients. Or we may not present it at all, and have a discussion with the clinician that is actually working with the patient, so they can make those changes, they can make those adjustments based on a civil conversation. and they can be the ones to make that change. Because if that clinician makes the changes, whether it's in their home exercise program, adjusting an assistive device, or just kind of rerouting the plan of care, they've maintained that therapeutic alliance and that trust with that patient. As compared to you, the random physio that comes in to do the reassessment, changing everything that they have been doing, you have likely harm the trust that patient has with the therapist or the clinician that's actually seeing them on a day in and day basis. So I want to bring light to that. Be very thoughtful of how we may make changes, and you want to may have a conversation with that clinician, the treating clinician, and to let them make those changes to really hold on to that therapeutic alliance. Another thing that we want to think about in the reassessment session is demonstrating our value and how we have helped create change. Jeff mentions this as building the bike. We want to make our services tangible so our patients can feel and smell and really understand how I am going to be helping you, or how we as physical therapists or the home health clinicians are going to be making your life better. And the reassessment is an amazing way to do that. Yes, we want to build the bike on that initial PT evaluation, whether you're influencing the asterisk signs, whether they may be symptomatic or whether they may be related to function. But don't forget, we are still building the bike. Building the bike is not this one-off occurrence that we are focusing on the initial evaluation. We are building the bike all throughout our plan of care. And whenever we come back for that reassessment, we're redoing some of those functional outcome measures that hopefully you all are doing. If you listen to this podcast enough, you can present them in such a lovely way that someone is going to be able to see how working with us, whether it's your branch or clinic or whatever, is making them better. So I make it very clear. Susie, you did your timed up and go with a two-wheeled walker for 25 seconds last time we did this about a month ago when Sheila was here. All right, 25 seconds with that old walker. You remember that walker with the two wheels on the front? 25 seconds, that's how long it took you. Well, today when we just did that, you did it in 15 seconds with a single point cane. Susie, that's freaking amazing. That's awesome. 25 seconds to 15 seconds. From a two-wheeled walker to a single point cane. That is awesome. You are doing great. And we can really demonstrate that excitement, that value, that progress with a lot of these functional outcome measures. And we need to make a big deal out of it, because these folks may not have seen progress or change in their situation over such a long period of time. They're so used to the negative list of what's wrong with them, what physicians or healthcare providers are concerned about, what may be abnormal in terms of their lab values. But we can really deal that hope. We can be hope dealers and really show them, man, you are making progress, and that is absolutely awesome. So that reassessment piece is very huge. Those functional outcome measures we can use to build the bike. And then lastly, when we do that reassessment visit, this is a great opportunity to really reiterate and really build the beliefs and expectations that the patient has going forward. So a lot of times when I'm doing a reassessment visit, we typically may have 4 more weeks to see the patient, and I want to really lay down kind of the foundation for what's going to be happening down the line. Now granted, you want to make sure that you're communicating well with the actual treating clinician, but we can really work to build these beliefs and expectations that are the foundations on which outcomes are built, which Justin Dunaway says all the time. But this is where I view it as a very great opportunity, because oftentimes it may take 4 weeks for folks to really start to move, really start to believe in resistance training, for example, or really trying to push things a little more intense than traditionally what they're used to. 4 weeks is a long period of time in some ways. It's a short period of time in other ways, but we are working to build that trust. And oftentimes we may not be able to really push people as far or as intense as we know that they're capable of doing, but it takes that time to build that trust. But after that 4-week period, we can really start to push things. We can get a heavier kettlebell, we can do some more complex activities. So really taking that opportunity when you're in their home or they're in your clinic or whatnot, to build those expectations. Like, okay, Susie, you've been absolutely crushing it. 25 second to 15 second timed up and go. You're on a single point cane now. All right, we're going to start doing some of these different activities. We're going to give you maybe a light dumbbell or kettlebell or just a light weight, and we're going to start doing some activities that are really going to make your legs stronger, your balance better. You'll be able to play with your grandma without worrying about a thing. Now, it doesn't need to be easy. If it's easy, it's likely not helping you, so we want to make it somewhat challenging, but it's going to be good for you. It's going to be great, and really build that foundation going forward. So Susie knows that when Doug comes back in to treat her, he's going to be having X number of pound kettlebell, and they're going to be doing some pretty awesome activities that are going to translate to helping Susie reach her goals. So leverage that opportunity to build the beliefs and the expectations going forward beyond that 4-week period or whenever you're doing that reassessment is something that I've found helpful. So first thing, just communicate well with the other clinicians. Don't critique the other clinicians. Don't make drastic changes to a plan of care when you're going to that reassessment. If you do feel like you need to make changes to that plan of care, to that treatment session, to the home exercise program, whatever it may be, have that conversation afterwards with the treating clinician. You want to save that therapeutic alliance. You don't want to harm that whatsoever. So those are some of the conversations we need to have with our clinicians that are treating them, not necessarily that patient that's right in front of us. So be aware of that. We want to take that opportunity to build the bike, demonstrate our value, make a big freaking deal about those functional outcome measures and the change that your team was able to help that patient, achieve. And that's a very big deal. We can really get a lot of value and trust and some motivation out of that. And last but not least, be a guide, build those beliefs and expectations going forward, because oftentimes that first, 4-week period after that initial evaluation, we're really building trust. We're not necessarily able to push too hard. Oftentimes, at least in my setting, after that 4-week period, we built that trust. We spent a lot of time with that patient. We can really get after it. And so you can really build those expectations going forward. That's really going to get that buy-in to help them, really achieve those goals. So those are some things to consider. I geek out about this stuff now because I'm doing more and more evals and reassessments and less treatments. I do miss treating more. I like spending that time with those people, but I have really found a lot of joy in thinking about these situations where I'm going into a stranger's home for the first time or maybe the second time. It's an interesting interaction, so I'm enjoying it. But those are things to consider. Last but not least, I do want to remind you, September 22nd is the start of our next online cohort of modern management of the older adult. It's 8 weeks. We meet every 2 weeks, but there's a weekly assignment, weekly lectures and labs to watch and kind of dig through. And I really find this very valuable that we have this structure, because weekly you are engaging in the content, you're submitting assignments, you're not just pressing play and going back and mowing your yard or drinking a beer or whatever. You're engaged and locked in, and then every 2 weeks we discuss this material. So this is not just a click and play type course, but it's also a community, and that's the very valuable part. Once you are in this cohort, you are part of a community that all are like you, that want to better serve older adults. So if you have any questions about that, leave that in the comments of whether it's this Instagram post or a Facebook post. Hit me up. Dustin Jones, at Dustin Jones PT on Instagram, and then you can find me on Facebook as well. But I'd love to answer any questions that you may have about this online cohort. Christine and I pour our heart and souls into this. We really believe it can help people really advance their skills and their competence and their confidence in working with older adults. So consider that. September 22nd is when that starts. Hope you all have a lovely Wednesday, and I will talk with y'all in a couple weeks.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.